If you were in your 20s today, what business would you build?
Nutra. I think I started botanic when I was 22. Knowledge is all about sharing. If I'm educating my consumer, how do you know this is a true liposomal powder? You will only know if you're doing 10. Not all clinical studies are same.
From farm to formulations, how this botanical extracts, herbal extracts are being made, how, what different kind of stakeholders are being involved in making one good quality ingredient, a successful ingredient company. And tell us how you differentiate commodity and branded ingredients.
So see, a lot goes on. I mean, a lot of people personally think that in terms of formulators or marketing companies, they don't really know how much work goes behind the scenes to bring one good top quality ingredient to the drum, for example, right? So let us talk about berberine as an example.
Mm-hmm.
Now, berberine is a wood, right? And it grows in North India in jungles, in a forest land. Now, to get that berberine out, it's like this is the ground and the roots are like 2-3 feet deep, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you really need to look at the plant, where the plants are. Try to extract out those roots from there. And when you, it's a manual job, right? You cannot start a JCB and start digging all the roots from the ground, right? And now the forest department will not allow you ever. A lot of licensing goes there. It's a controlled product where you need to take a forest license, this and that, and biodiversity is involved and things like that. Then the raw material, the roots are extracted by, and that's not extracted in bulk. It is extracted by villagers who are living up in mountains. So every villager will collect, their kids will collect, everybody, it's like a fun for them, or they're living, for example, where they will not be playing cricket on the ground, but they will be extracting our roots of berberine. It's called daru haldi. They will be extracting roots up in the jungles, and then they will be getting those 10 kilo, 20 kilo, 30 kilo, 40 kilo roots, and then they'll be selling it to the consolidator, one trader, a local guy, for example, who can pay them cash on the go, on the spot. Then he will give to a bigger guy. Then the bigger guy will give to another guy. So there is a chain of events just for the raw material, okay?
Just for the raw material.
Just for the raw material. So when that raw material comes in, that raw material comes in a massive, big roots.
Yes.
Massive trunks. Think about a tree uprooted from the ground. Just imagine a tree uprooted from the ground. Now you cut the tree, but the root is a massive jar that you have, a massive trunk with a root, right? So then it comes with all the mud and stones and all those things, right? Then as a raw material manufacturer, you cannot bring that mud and root in your factory, right? You really need to wash them, dry them, then pulverize them, and it's like a chain shop. I mean, when I started going to the berberine product, I was telling my people, man, like it feels like I started a wood business because the chain shop and all things. So we had to subcontract that part because that is not our business, right? So then we had to put another guy with all the equipment, instruments, and other than say, well, you do it for us. You do it, you get me the powder, that's it. We will pay you. And then we get the powder. Then the extraction starts, for example. And when the extraction starts, the quality of raw material is something which is very important, right? Now, in our extraction business, I can tell you, even if the yield is varying by 1% or 0.1%, 0.2%, you're gone. Your profits are gone in the drain. So let us talk about berberine. The yield is only 1%. So if you process 100 kg of berberine roots, you just get a 1 kilo of a product. But if your yield has gone down below 1%, let's say you got 0.8, instead of 1 kilo, you got 800 grams. You're gone. Your whole costing is gone. Because the product itself is 9,000 rupees a kilo, right? So if you get 0.2% less, you are 1,800 rupees. Your margin is all gone and washed in the window. It's just all in the drain. You will not be able to sell the product because your costing will go from 9,000 to 11,000, right? So there's a lot of pressure on the raw material manufacturers, and the pressure for us is get the top quality raw material. And the top quality raw material is not a synthetic raw material.
Yeah.
It's a natural, right? So what is there, that is available. But that is where your sustainable sourcing and your quality team comes into play. How solid is your quality? How solid is your R&D? How solid is your QC? at what stage you're controlling the raw materials in terms of the quality of the actives and content, right? So once that phase is over, then you bring the product to the factory. Now your manufacturing has to be excellent. Otherwise, one mistake in the extraction plant can wash away your whole product in the drain. Whole product can go away, because natural products extraction is a science, it's an art, it's a master science actually. Synthetic is easy because CO2 with the water, or H2O is H2O. Hydrogen oxygen is a water will come out, right? It's more controlled, it's more balanced, it's more validated. In natural products, it's not like that. You really, first of all, obviously the quality of raw material matters, but sometimes the different natural products behaves differently also. For example, if you buying a turmeric from Salem, for example, or Erode, that is quite different to Sangli. If you're buying some from Maharashtra, that is different from Sangli material, for example, or Erode material, because of the nature of the turmeric itself. Because if the turmeric has more oil content, you won't be able to crystallize the curcuminoids, right? True. But sometimes you don't know as a raw material manufacturer, some farmer from Maharashtra must have sold the goods to Mandi in Erode, right? So lot of hard work, lot of background work to bring finite good quality products into the formulation, and before we sell it, lot of yes, there are rewards for that, but in terms of the amount of processes which happens behind the scenes to really crystallize and purify a product to 95% curcuminoids is a hell lot of work, and not easy. But and mistakes means you wiped out. I know so many turmeric manufacturers in the last 15 years who has gone bankrupt just because of this, where they could not control the processes, could not control the yield, for example, didn't really think about it, did not have the right processes or right infrastructure or right instruments in the factory, for example, just took the chance, start making it and gone, Right. So it's tough. It's tough bringing ingredients farm to formulation. Is very easy to say, but in terms of actually delivering it within your business and your system and your manufacturing, it is a massive job, and Right. It takes years to build it.
Right. So when you say this is something that I'm talking especially about botanic extracts and all, a lot of factors that are going to affect your quality, consistency, yield, even the active content and all. In this case, considering the scenario, how do you make sure that still you want to stand out and build a commodity into a unique product?
So that's a very good question, and that's where I think every company is different. Every company's DNA is different. Botanic Healthcare is not a commodity product company. We are all about branded ingredients. The kind of ingredients that we get out, we always look for new molecules, right? And we do not want to be in generics. We don't want to be in commodities, because that's not who we are. I mean, I don't like to sell $2 a kilo turmeric powder. We just say no to the people. We are not built for that, as our systems, our quality, our processes, our SAP, our manufacturing, our people. We are a company who's into high value branded bioactives. And you will ask me now, what is branded bioactive, right? Now, bioactive is a molecule which has a targeted area where you want to. So, for example, if you want to take, let's say, bacosides, right? So that is in a molecule, a bioactive within a bacopa extract that you would want to take, because you already know that that bacoside is work on that function, the physiology or human pharmacology or pharmacokinetics. True. Now, we are all about validating whether bacosides are doing the job in the body or not. And that we validate with the in vitro in vivo studies on a rat and mouse, for example. And once we validated in vitro and vivo, then we go for human clinical trials. Okay. And then that's how the dose get decided. So if, let's say, our product is working with a 100 mg dose in rats, then humans will have usually 4 times or 3 times higher. So 300 mg or 400 mg. So that is called branded bioactives. Bioactive with the human clinical studies, published studies. Now you will talk to me, and I think this is a bigger area and I can talk about it. Not all clinical studies are same, right? Now a lot of people ask me, oh, we have a clinical study. Some consumers will tell us, oh, no, that they have a clinical study. Well, I ask questions from people. Whoever comes and tells you that they have a clinical study, first of all, ask, okay, tell me what is the clinical study protocol. Then tell me how many subjects. A lot of companies have launched clinical studies with the 5 subjects. They do RCD double blind clinical study with 5 subjects as people, 5 people they recruit and 5 placebo. Now 10 people clinical study, what that's going to tell you, for example, that's pretty much nothing. It's not
Nothing.
large enough pool of subjects to prove that your product is really, really working.
True.
But a lot of people do that for cross-cutting. So I educate the industry that if someone comes and tells you that we have a clinical study, first of all, ask for CTRI registration. Then ask what the protocol is, how many subjects. Now the biggest question is, who has published your clinical study? Now
Right.
for a company, we can do a clinical study and we can generate a data, but publishing has to be done in high impact factor journals. Now high impact factor journals, they do not publish your clinical studies if your data is crooked data, right? Now high impact factor journals will be the journals, reputed journals in the pharma industry or human health industry who are well above 5 and 6 impact factor. Now those journals, usually they don't publish any crooked, any small studies. They really want to ask all these questions. What is a clinical study? How many subjects? Who has done it? Where you have done it? What is the pool of people? What is the protocol? How the data is generated? For example, we were doing a clinical study on one product. One CRO has given us a quotation on 30 lakhs. One CRO has given us a quotation of 1.3 CR. I asked him, man, what is going on? One is a 30 lakhs, one is a 1.5 crore. The difference was in what methods they're using to test human beings.
Right.
For example, some MRI machines are 2 Tesla, 1.5 Tesla, 3 Tesla. Some MRI machines are 0.5 Tesla. If you go to 0.5 Tesla MRI machine, your body scan, they cannot see much in it, right? But highly sensitive MRI machines will be 6,000 for MRI or 8,000 for MRI. But the cheaper one can be 2,500 also.
True.
Now that is a difference in clinical studies also.
Yes.
When we're doing clinical studies on one of the product, we wanted to test human beings as a real blood test at a plasma level. But if I do it with the normal Indian style method that any labs are using, it was around like 2,000 per human being per test, per human subject. But if we were using LCMS, which not many CROs had or not many people had the method or data or equipment to test it, it was like 10,000 rupees per human being. Now look at the cost of the clinical study. It's 5 times more, but the data is also 5 times accurate.
True.
So not all clinical studies are same. These are the integrities, like these are the internal things that many marketing companies or people, they don't understand. बोलने को हो जाता है हमारे पास भी clinical study है, but how the clinical study was done, how the protocol was written, what were the biomarkers tested, for example, into the human beings, how the testing been done, is it done by a dodgy lab or is it done by a reputed lab, for example. It's like having a heart plant operation in a normal local clinic or having in Vedanta. The cost difference will be there, but the credibility is also there, for example, the infrastructure they built it. So these are the things that people really need to look at it when they're looking at branded bioactives. Otherwise, they get fooled around, you know. I mean, I can say that, oh, this is clinically tested, but on how many subjects? Oh, 2 subjects. Well, go out of the door, man. Like, I don't want to talk to you. And that's where some countries, for example, Japan or Korea or other countries, when you apply for human clinical trial level claims, let's say if you apply for KFDA claims and if you want to have a KFDA individual functional registration for your product, minimum subjects they demand 60.
Right.
60 subjects. And if you're going to test and recruit 60 human beings and do all their blood tests 10 times during the course of human clinical trial, that is where the cost is.
So it's like we will make it how much you pay. जितना आप पे करोगे उतना हम बना के देंगे. It's like.
But that should be the awareness to the brand owners and
Right.
the formulators. What ingredient to choose should be
asking the right
done.
question.
One should be asking the right questions and should be comparing apple to
This
apple.
also reminded me of China made air defense system for Iran which just failed.
There you go, right? So
it's like that. Like आप जितना पे करोगे, how much you're going to pay, they're like, I can make it in 1 crore also, I can make it in 2 crore
but
also. I can
good
make it
companies
50,
when the
10 lakhs
people like, so there are companies where there are educated people. It also depends on who is the next formulator.
Right.
If there is a person like me at a formulator end, for example, I'll be asking a million different questions because I do know it. So there are companies where there are some good qualified people. Like our customers sometimes drive us crazy, ask so many questions. But which is good, they're asking questions, but that also validates once they start using, they trust and they will not change, for example.
So I think your marketing team should play a very important role. What are you communicating to the
Yes,
brands through your ingredient branding? I think that's where branding plays an important role. I think that's a need. We need to brand our ingredient because we need to communicate what it stands for,
yes,
right? This is building your identity of your ingredient into the market. It's giving you a outstanding image into the market. But what are the factors which are, you know, make it, which are unique in your product? That's where the branding and marketing plays very important role. And so is it possible to communicate all this information through branding, or it has to be some kind of, collaborative approach from the brand side and the manufacturer side
of course. See, I
both?
mean, as an ingredient owner, we need to get the message out. But as we communicate that message to the people, people will come back and asking questions, and that's where I think the credibility plays an important role. How well you answer those questions and how much data you produce.
Right.
I personally believe doesn't matter how well I talk, if I can't produce science and if I cannot give validated data, there's no use, right? So that is what the brand owner should ask: data, data, data. Back it up, convince themselves, ask more questions.
Right.
Ask people costing, for example. Look, you are telling me this is this, this is, tell me how you drive the cost. Tell me what are the components. Everything has a cost, but that cost, if the cost is not explainable, that is where the things are not right. I mean, loaf of bread costs 50 rupees. If someone comes and tell you, Madhuri, I'm selling you 10, surely there's something wrong,
Right.
right? Because it cannot be 10. It can be 45, it can be 40. If normal is average 50, it can be 40. It cannot be 10. If it's 10, there's something wrong, right?
Right. So I think there is a need of right communication between innovators and the brand companies, I would
Yes,
say, where you simplify for the brands so that they put it up on their labels,
yes, yes.
and which is understood by the consumer. So simplifying innovation, simplifying the information, or simplifying the science in the need right now, we say. I think this will happen slowly when everyone is informed, when everyone is aware, when everyone is asking the right question. Then they find the right person who will answer the right question. Okay, we have started, we have been discussing on the manufacturing facilities, so far about the company, the ingredients and all. Of late you have seen that right now what problem consumers are facing is absorption, or the efficacy or the results, because supplements and drugs, there is a different, you know but the problem is consumer is still expecting fast result from the supplement, right? So to give them that best effect, the absorption has to be right, the delivery formats has to be right, your bioactive should work at the right time, at the right place, you know that's when it gives you result, and that's when the consumer brand can claim, okay, this works between these days and all. So slowly now a consumer is expecting result, the fast effects from the nutraceutical, the supplements also. I think that's where some of the delivery technologies are now, being discussed and talked a lot nowadays in our industry, like liposomes, like sustained release and all. So, however, in pharma, these technologies have been there from long time. But why do you think it has come to nutraceutical now? Why it took so long for us to highlight that?
Good question. So I see nutraceutical industry itself is quite young. Like I said,
Right.
10, 15 years. I mean, nutraceutical name itself has been invented
Even
only
doctors
maybe
don't
10
know.
to 12. Yeah, doctors still don't know what is nutraceuticals, right? They still believe in allopathic and Ayurvedic. So the way the industry has started, it was used to be a powder formulation. Like my grandmother used to grind powders and seeds and things like that, and she used to take it for diabetes and others. And then the companies like Dabur or Hamdard or Himalayas, they came in and they said, look, not really powders. If you really want strong effect, you should drink Kada formulation, right?
Yeah.
So people started boiling herbs and started going tinctures. Till today, most of the Bad and Ayurvedic people, they still believe in Kada formulations, the liquid tinctures. And that is how German herbal medicine and Chinese herbal medicine used to be. So
Okay.
if you still see overseas in Germany and China, There are still herbal dispensaries, and they give tinctures to people for coughs, for pain, for sleep, for others. Still, people believe in tinctures. There's a company called Valida, 300 years old company, German company. They grow their own herbs and they make boiled tinctures, and they sell it, and they do very good cosmetics also. And then companies like Sabinsa, Naturex, they all came in. They said, look, not really Kada formulations. What we are doing is we are doing standardized extracts. And then they started 10 is to 1, 20 is to 1, 5 is to 1, and things like that. And then there are companies like us. We came in, for example, we are saying, well, 10 is to 1, then 20 is to 1 is nothing as long as you are not standardizing the botanical actives. So we started saying, okay, look, it's ashwagandha, 10% withanol oil. Let us talk about withanol oil. Let us not talk about 10 is to 1. If I dry an orange juice, I can tell you, look, I dried 10 kilos of liquid to give you 1 kilo of powder. But you're going to ask me, hey, but how much vitamin C? I don't care how much you dried. Tell me how much vitamin C.
How much vitamin C?
Now, if one guy is telling, Madhuri, madam, I'm doing 10 is to 1, but the vitamin C is 30%. Now I'm telling, no, Madhuri, madam, I'm doing 8 is to 1, but my vitamin C is 30%. Then you will say, no, I'll buy him Gaurav now because I'm getting double the vitamin C. You only give me half the vitamin C, right? So that is where the standardized standardized botanical extracts came in, right? But now the consumer is saying that, for example, let's say, when you standardize extracts at that high purity, let's say 97% berberine or 95% turmeric, 95% black pepper, or whatever molecule, when a molecule gets standardized and purified to that high purity, sometimes some molecules, they don't get absorbed in the body because they're highly purified molecules. You really lost that metrics, the wholesome metrics of a product, right? That is where consumers are asking, man, look, I am taking such an expensive supplement. I understand this is 97% pure, but my body may not be absorbing it fully. How much of this is getting absorbed in the body? Tell me. And that is where the term came in, bioavailability.
Right.
So people started asking, how much bioavailable this is? Tell me. And that is where people started mixing turmeric with the water extract, turmeric with the turmeric oil, turmeric with the black pepper, talk about more bioavailable, more absorption, validating that in the human body and things like that. Till today, people mix black pepper, piperine and gingerols with the turmeric, because black pepper, what it does because absorption in the human body happens in a small intestines. So in your small intestine, there are sort of tube-like structures called villi, right? And those villi, they are the one who absorbs nutrients when they pass through after your gut, it passes through a small intestine. That's where most of the nutrition absorption happens.
Right.
Now, what black pepper does, since it's so pungent, as you know, it's a chili and pungent and other, it's like when you are cutting onions or you are having a chili, reflex action happens and the water starts coming from your eyes, right? Same way, the pungency of gingerol and black pepper, what it does it activates your villi in your small intestine. So it makes them a bit more pungent, and then they're ready. When the turmeric comes in, they'll absorb it, right? But if you don't put black pepper, then turmeric may slide through your large intestine and comes in the gut, basically, right? So people started doing all that, and people started talking, I'm talking about 10 years back, people designing formulations to ensure their formulations are more bioavailable. And the extract companies have started combining other things to say, hey, look, our product is more bioavailable. It has a polysaccharide, it has a turmeron, it has this. We tested it. Now, consumer has come away from that also. Consumer is saying, man, look, I still not convinced. I personally still, because I can see I'm taking this tablet and my toilet is yellow, my toilet is red, because it's not getting absorbed in my body. So you need to tell me how you're going to deliver.